We told them they could not fish that spot till we caught our fish. Both of them cast. Both of them hook up. We're trolling motoring in with a camera guy on our boat. We get in there. They pull their fish in, measure them, and put them both in the live well. And
you must have been fuming.
I lost my mind.
This is the Connected by Water podcast, fueled by Papa's Pilar Rum, who remind us never to be a spectator. And protected by Starbright, where it's always Starbright season. Special thanks to our sponsors, Seaward Systems, Olakai, Parchview, and Lingchini for their great support of our show. This episode was recorded in our Seaward Systems studio, located on the eastern edge of the Florida Everglades.
Instagram
Mm-hmm.
makes a lot of Insta fishers.
Yeah.
And you just have to be a pretty girl holding a fish to be an influencer.
Yep.
That's
You're right.
like my
Oh, I'm sure it's
nails-
got to drive someone like you crazy. When
nails.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had 30 years in the industry, and I've had to work and struggle for everything when there was no Instagram, no social media, and all of that. And now it's almost like I'm not relevant anymore.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, no, but
Yeah.
that's sometimes how you feel, because all these young girls who haven't accomplished anything other than being beautiful
Right.
are
It's a
I
tough.
hope it shines through.
It's got to be a tough thing for women like you to see that have accomplished so much and that have. I mean, you have paid your dues on like 10 million times over, right?
Yep.
So, and there are a handful of other women out there that
A lot of them.
that have
Done
I mean,
the
I'm to your
same.
level though. I'm
Mhm.
saying
Oh,
that
yes.
that have done that as well.
Yes.
And there are a lot of women that have paid their dues, just paid their dues, and
Mhm.
and deserve all the smoke that they get, right? But then you got the ones that their boyfriends are catching the fish and they just want the Instagram moment, of course. I mean, but I really do think that if you're really an angler, and I'm talking about from a
Mhm.
guy's perspective,
Right.
you know the difference. Right? You got to know who's who, right? I mean, I talk to guys around the business and,
Mhm.
and they go, yeah, but she's not really, an angler, or she, and, you just got to really,
That's what you hope
know
for.
who's, and that's, I think, the truth. I mean, when people, they'll look like anglers like you and captains like you, and, and there's other ones out there that are pretty legit that I think they know, I really do believe
I hope
that in
so.
my heart of
Yeah.
hearts. Yeah.
We're going to keep that. I like to have the good in everybody anyway, so let's just think that.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, nothing for nothing. I just look. That's a form of entertainment. People go on to Instagram just to see that.
Just
and they
to
love
see
it,
that.
and
That's what I
okay,
say.
Cool.
Big bucks.
But don't get that confused with
what's real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All
All
right.
right.
That's my 2 cents about it. So, Leiza Fitzgerald, thank you very much for coming to visit me today. We've been talking about doing this together for a long time.
Yes, we have.
And we're finally here, and I'm very, very honored, to have you, we're friends. So let's say in my presence,
and I'm
on
blushing.
The show. Yeah, on the show. So I am gonna, before we begin, I like I always do, need to mention the Starbright do-gooder of the week, right? So we do that every week or every episode, and this week's is Tom Euler, and he is the owner of the Old Fish House.
Okay.
In the bar and grill, where we just did the Starbright Project Sea Safe Clean Water Collective event, right?
What a cool place.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read this off and give the audience a little bit of knowledge about Tom. So first of all, Tom allowed the IRL Clam Restoration Project to put 80,000 clams behind the Old Fish House in 2024. And that opened up the door for us to say, hey, do you want to do the event here next year? So he said yes. And so as well, he played an instrumental role this year in Starbright's Project Sea Safe 2025 Clean Water Collective event, where we put 4 million seedling clams out by drone and an additional 80,000 by hand, right? Which is
huge.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's a
huge,
lot.
Huge.
And it was really cool being at the event, seeing how they were doing it. We just talked about Blair, off the show for a second. And and that's really kind of like him leaving his legacy. That it's a big part of what he does, right? The whole IRL clam restoration project, and designing the drone the way they did. It was like the 6-foot drone.
We saw it.
Huge.
I've been there and seen it work. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to that particular project,
Right.
but it is spectacular.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And all these people around watching it, go up and down the IRL and just dropping the clams in there. And Tom is also involved in numerous other grant environmental organizations, and he is definitely a do-gooder. So congratulations, Tom Euler, and we thank you for your great contributions, but also for the great hospitality that he showed everybody during that event. So thank you, Tom.
Way to go, Tom.
Thank you. If I'm going to introduce you, like if you look at my phone, I got all these notes.
Yeah.
It just goes on forever. And I'm not going to sit here and just read off the sheet of paper.
I get
but
it.
There are things like, Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductee.
Yeah.
And let's see, so it's obviously CCA Star Tournament Director. And we're going to talk a lot about that today, actually, because that's coming up on us. By the time this show airs, it'll probably be only a couple of days away.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's May 24th, I think, is when that tournament begins.
That's the start date. Yeah, kickoff Saturday, Memorial Day weekend.
Yep. So I want you to go through all the details of that, because we assume everybody understands all the rules and regulations.
Oh, I know they don't. I get tons of phone calls.
Yeah. So I want to do our best on the show to do that. You were labeled as the Queen of Conservation, right?
Yes,
right?
yeah.
You're well known in the industry for that. A seasoned tournament angler. You started tournaments like the World Sailfish Championship and the Tarpon Championship. You've got resumes on the SKA,
redfish,
right? The redfish tournaments.
tarpon.
I mean,
yes.
Redfish, tarpon, sailfish, mahi, tuna, bonefish, snook, you name it.
Yes, I've chased it.
Right?
Yes,
yeah, you're authority on the matter, right?
I don't know if I'm an authority, but I think I probably think I know more than I really do know.
Okay. And then the International Women's Organization that we just discussed.
Yeah, I've been a member of the IWFA, which is the International Women's Fishing Association, since 2000. My redfish partner, Captain Marilee Dunn, who is now an angel sitting on my shoulder. She's on one side. I'm not sure exactly who the devil is on my other side, but she got me involved with them. And I can tell you, for women who love to fish and have that a little bit of a competitive spirit, this is a great organization to get involved in. Not only do we do a lot of conservation work for the fisheries, but we work very well together with lots of women from all over the United States, actually all over the world, that get engaged. And we get to compete against each other on an annual basis. There's youth divisions. And then it's really not about the biggest fish. It's the number of fish, the line class that you caught the fish on, whether you caught it on live or dead bait, whether you've used spinning gear, whether you've used fly gear, and you accumulate points.
Oh, okay.
And every year we have determined winners. I've actually won 3 times in the redfish, so now I can no longer win redfish.
So you're locked out of that?
I'm locked out. I am.
Oh, man.
So now other women have a chance to win in that. The snook division, I won 3 times and I'm out. And I'm working on tarpon. I'm working on some other divisions, but with work, it's really challenging. But this organization does a lot of scholarships for women.
Okay, that's great.
And youth.
Yeah, Emily was telling me that it's really competitive. Like really competitive. She was like, I was shocked. Everybody loved me before I turned into an adult.
You know, Emily Henslick is, I wish there were more women and more young girls like her. She is driven and conservation minded and competitive.
Yeah.
And it is extremely competitive in the fact that they're competing for jewelry.
Oh, wow.
We're competing for gold discs that are absolutely incredible. I wish I would have worn mine, but when I travel, I don't bring mine with me.
Right.
But you have these beautiful, like for my my snook. I have a gold disc that has 3 different stones on it because I won it for 3 years.
Mhm.
When you win a tournament, you get these beautiful gold discs for the tournaments. Like I compete every year in the Louisiana Slam. There's one in Isla Morada, which is a inshore bonefish, tarpon, permit tournament down in Isla Morada, and then they do one in Guatemala. So they have tournaments all over the country.
So
That
are you fishing in all the tournaments?
I
Or
am
you-
not.
Yeah.
I
That's
have.
got to be tough. I was going to say, it's got to be tough to hit them all.
It is. However, if you place really well in all 3 of them, you win another beautiful piece of jewelry.
Oh, really?
So I hope to, but my schedule just is so crazy with.
Yeah.
I if anyone were to ask me which I like more, fishing or hunting, it
Mhm.
would be like asking me which son I love more.
Mm.
I love them differently. And so I do a lot of hunting and I do a lot of fishing, and my hunting interferes with my fishing, and my fishing interferes with my hunting, and my work interferes with all of it.
Which came first for you, hunting or fishing?
You know, that's hard. That's hard because my mother was an avid hunter. So was my dad, but my dad was also an avid fisherman. I grew up in the Florida Keys.
Okay.
So,
so you're a conch.
I'm a yes.
Oh, wow.
I was born in Jacksonville.
You were
my
born in
dad-
Jacksonville. Okay.
And then my dad was the commander for the Navy base in Key West. And so I grew up in Key West,
Oh, gotcha.
hanging out there and fishing and,
Mhm.
doing that kind of thing. So
So you're a Florida native.
I'm a native
nonetheless.
Floridian. Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
The few, the proud.
Yeah. There we are.
As am I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Well, there's only a few of us around
Yep.
still. So I just had someone tell me, Richard from But and Mary's, he
Mhm.
said, 20 years ago, this was the most spectacular place in the world.
Right.
And, I thought to myself, and I said, you know what, Richard? It's still the most spectacular place in the world. Yes, we've seen degradation of our resources and things like that, but there are only certain people who know the degradation. But when someone goes to the Florida Keys, they still are in awe of the Florida Keys.
Yeah, there's a lot about it you just can't beat.
They're-
Still to this day.
I mean, it's still spectacular. We just have to give Mother Nature some help with her bootstraps and pull her boots on and get her back to functioning properly.
And I think it's possible. I think it's highly possible.
Well, you should see. I mean,
The Earth is a resilient place. It absolutely is. You give
I
it a little
think-
time and you
yep.
give it a little TLC, and it will bounce back.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree right there.
Yep,
Yeah.
it will. So, and we've seen it. We've seen it happen. We've seen with some of the regulations where fish stocks go up and different things like that. I mean, and you can see different parts of the globe that are left untouched for a little bit. They do bounce back, and that's what kind of gives me hope with all the efforts that we make. All of our friends and all of our
Mhm.
groups that we're involved with. It's not for naught, right?
And I just
there is effort and result there.
And the one thing, though, that I see starting to happen, there used to be oil and water where groups kind of just didn't really mesh well together. And it seems to me that more and more groups are willing to, I hate to say, hold hands and sing Kumbaya,
Mhm.
but I think I see more groups, just like the IRL, Clam Restoration Project,
Right.
working closely with CCA and working with Duke Energy and working with so many other organizations. I see groups like IGFA and other organizations working well, Bonefish Tarpon Trust, all of these different organizations finding ways to partner with other organizations and seeing that they're not competition, although they are for the funding. We're not competition. We're all working for the same goal.
Right. And you know what? I just got goosebumps from everything that you just said, because that's what Connected by Water is, right? And that was the goal that we set out to, I don't want to say achieve, because I don't necessarily think that conservation has a finish line. ever. Like there's never going to be a day when we're like, hey, we did it.
We don't have
you
to
know?
finish yet.
Yeah, it's always going to be an ongoing thing. It's kind of like when you go
Something
on a
different.
diet, right?
Yes.
You don't go on a diet and reach a goal and then be like, yeah, I made it, right? It's a lifestyle change, right? And that's
Exactly.
what conservation is, right? So, but connected by water in itself is people crossing the aisle and coming together and finding that common thread, understanding that we're all connected by water. This entire state is connected by water, and we all need to work together to do it. Now, the interesting thing is there is a lot. You're right. More people are coming together. There are still some
Oh, yeah.
organizations that butt heads and everything, which I don't like. But really, the biggest enemy to me, I was thinking about this the other day, is sprawl, right?
Oh, yes.
And all the results of all the different nuances that we kind of pick apart are really a result of sprawl and us saying, whoa, hold on, from a conservation, from a fishing aspect, from a hunting aspect, and even like the term environmentalism, right? Even from that aspect, which to me got kind of hijacked a couple of decades ago to mean something completely different. We're trying to bring that word back. So, kind of getting off the spin there, but
Mhm.
I think you get the idea of
I
like
do.
everybody coming together for a common goal, and it's a beautiful thing to see, right?
I'm impressed with so many organizations really finding ways to work together, and
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more and more beneficial for everyone involved. I'm involved in a program in June working with the Florida Wildlife Corridor, if you're familiar with them.
For sure, 100%.
I will be one of their keynote speakers.
Yeah, my
for-
buddy Travis has
Yep.
a lot to do with that, right?
Yes, Travis
Right?
and
Mike
I.
Elfenbein, and
Yeah.
yep, they all have a lot to do with that.
So Travis and I are keynote speakers.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, he's going to be talking from the hunting perspective. I'm going to
Mhm.
be talking from the water perspective, and how that wonderful corridor is going to not only give the panthers a travel corridor,
hmm
but it's also hitting some really critical lands that need protection.
Yeah.
Because if we don't protect what's going on in the center part of the state, that, I hate to use the word ripple or drizzle or filters down, it all runs out into our Gulfs, our bays, and the Atlantic from
100%
Florida
it does. Yep.
down into the Everglades. Everything is affected by what goes on in the center part of the state.
It absolutely does. And you know what? If I could take a moment here
Yes.
to talk about Travis
Oh, yeah.
for a second, right? Travis Thompson, he's an incredible,
All Florida.
all Florida org, .org is his website, and that's his organization. There aren't many people that do conservation and are as good for the state of Florida than he is.
I agree.
I mean, there are others, but I really struggle to find anyone that's as important as the work that he's doing right now. I mean, with the right to hunt and fish alone, and he was so integral in getting that passed.
Right.
And he is such a guy behind the scenes on a lot of levels that people don't understand everything that he does. Being a friend of his, I understand a lot of what he does, and it is impressive. Like, if there's a better word than impressive, but he does a really, really great job. And I just want to give him a little bit of a shout out on this episode because he does
I'm willing
such a
to
great
pat
job.
him on the back every chance
He
I
does
get.
such a
he
great
is
job.
he is
Yeah,
awesome.
and he recently got an award for it too.
Yes, he
On
did.
the state
yeah.
level, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know the name of the award. Forgive me. Sorry,
I-
Travis.
yep.
But
I
congratulations
apologize
to
to
you.
Travis because I can't remember it, but
Yeah.
I know it was something pretty special.
Yeah. So you're gonna speak with him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll be doing, we're bringing a lot of different groups together who specialize in my understanding of just what goes on in the center part of the state,
Okay.
and how everything, like I said, just everything. You want to say connected by water? It's
Mhm.
all connected by
all
water.
connected by water.
Everything is connected by water.
Sure is.
Yes.
Sure is. Absolutely. The
great
funny
idea.
thing is I kind of had I usually don't have listed questions, but I have some notes here. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, Florida's being such a unique state. There's different East Coast needs and West Coast needs and Everglades needs, and it's all very specific. Even within the Everglades, there's Eastern Everglades and Southern Everglades and Western Everglade needs and everything. And it's important to have those people in the people that are operating in those spaces it's important to have them there
Yes.
doing all the work that they're doing. It's important to listen to them too, particularly the Miccosukee tribes as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people listen to the Miccosukee, listen to those people who have the old Florida crackers. Like Travis listens to the old Florida cracker.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's talking to the ranchers. He's with these people who have been, 6th, 8th, 9th generation Floridians, and he hears what they have to say and what they've seen. And that's a true testament to what Florida is experiencing just in my own area where I live, Sarasota, Manatee County. The growth there and the displacement of
it's
animals.
Getting crazy, I
has,
heard, right?
It's
That's where I went to art school. I went to Ringling.
a great school.
A long time ago,
Yeah.
I went to Ringling, and people are telling me like, "Oh, you got to see it now. Downtown exploded," and I'm like, "Really? That doesn't sound good."
It is not good.
Yeah, but
It's a beautiful city, but everything going east is just it's like the wild, wild west. They just have free reign to do whatever they want to do, and
see, I know that as cow farms.
it's not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh
Wow.
no,
Wow.
no. We live on a 10-acre piece of property out there, and we used to have a few deer.
Mhm.
I bet you we have 40 to 50 deer that live on our property now,
They're
maybe
all getting
more than
pushed
that.
in, huh?
They're getting pushed in. Our turkeys, just the amount of game that we see in our neighborhood now is incredible. And behind us was a big ranch.
Mhm.
It's gone, and now it's housing. And
How long have you lived in Sarasota?
8 years.
8 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so you've seen a change in this that short amount of
Just a
time.
short period of time. It's
Really?
yes, yeah. I left the Florida Keys
Mm-hmm.
and went to a little town called Moss Bluff,
Okay.
which is on the Ocklawaha River up in the center part of the state. Absolutely gorgeous. Lived on a big lake up there, bass fished every afternoon after school.
It's north of Orlando, right?
It is north of
Yeah,
Orlando.
that's such a pretty part of the
Oh,
state that
yeah.
in that whole area. It really is.
Ocala is a little north of where I lived, and it was beautiful. And the lake was pristine. It was one of the deepest lakes in Florida. I think it was like 70 feet deep.
That deep?
Hmm.
Really?
They were plumbing it. The University of Florida came in when I was little and was plumbing it.
Okay.
And they said 70 feet deep. It's some type of spring-fed sinkhole type lake,
Okay.
but it's gin clear with white sand.
Are you kidding me?
It's gorgeous.
Wow.
It's gorgeous. My parents no longer are around, but my brother still owns the home, and it was 20 acres on lakeside and 40 acres on the other side. And it's beautiful.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
great. A lot of fish in there? Or?
The bass in there were incredible.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Not pressured at all, huh?
Not at all, except by my dad and I.
That's a good thing. That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the STAR program.
Okay.
Okay. So you and I were talking before cameras and stuff were rolling about the stuff. You were just down in the Keys.
Right.
And you were doing some tagging and you with some. So I really want to dive into this STAR program with you because we're big supporters of the CCA. We do a lot of work with them, on a bunch of different levels. For me as an artist, me as a conservationist, we
Mhm.
do a bunch of different things. We cross over, and I do a bunch of different things with Derek and Corey Redwine a lot of times, and we include the
Good
CCA with
people. Yeah.
absolutely 100%. Very good friends of mine. And it's interesting all the nuances and all the different work that goes into that project that you work on.
Yes.
So
It's a
take me
huge
through,
project.
take me through a little bit of the prep that you have to do because it starts May 24th. right?
Correct.
That's
Mhm.
when. And how long does it go for?
It's 100 days of fishing.
100 days.
So it runs Saturday of Memorial Day weekend to
Okay.
Labor Day.
Gotcha.
And the reason we do that is to give anglers the opportunity to fish when they can.
Hmm.
Most tournaments are either you have to fish one specific day or at least a specific weekend. Sometimes it is a week, but this is a summer-long competition. It's designed to engage non-anglers, recreational anglers, and youth in the sport of fishing. When I was recruited 14 for almost 12 years ago by CCA to do this project. They were like, well, we want you to do a big tournament in Florida. I said, well, the only way I would do this is if it's catch, photo, release. And they're like, oh, that's so new. I don't know if we're really in. I said,
Yeah, 14 years ago, that was
Yeah.
a new concept for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I was like, no, we're going to do, catch CPR, catch,
Mhm.
photo, release. Oh, man. So there are star tournaments in other states, but they don't perform the same way that our star.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Okay.
So the preparation for this is we have to have an app. It's a proprietary app for Star. When you join Star, when you become a member of CCA and you register for the competition, we wanted to make it reasonable for anyone to participate.
It's
So
like $40,
it's
right?
$40.
Yeah,
$40.
that's easy.
Divide it 40 by 100.
Right.
And what do you come up with? Yeah, it's not much to fish
Yep.
if you were to fish every 100 days. But let's just say 50. It's like $10 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so or $1. I mean, there's just not a lot of expense to it. So we wanted to make it something that everyone could do, reasonable in cost, lots of time, and we wanted to engage youth. So what we did was we came up with divisions. In some of the other tournaments, they only had a tagged redfish division and one other division, say like a trout division or something like that. And you were required to harvest those fish and bring them to a weigh-in, kill them.
Right.
I didn't want to do that. So we developed the app. I then came up with a proprietary device that had to be in the photos, which at the time was a measuring device that was printed out. It's Tyvek, so you could have it on the boat and you just lay it down and take pictures of your fish on it and submit them.
Mm-hmm.
We came out, now we have 9 divisions. We have our tagged redfish division, which is a huge preparation because we have to release on average 4 tagged redfish per coastal county.
Okay.
So in order to do that on the west coast of Florida, all those fish are hatchery reared and released.
Mm-hmm.
Tagged and released, 4 per coastal county. There are 2 counties, Citrus County and Charlotte County. Their Economic Development Council said, hey, we want to bring more people here to catch fish. How do we do that with Star? And I said, well, you can buy more redfish. So they bought more redfish and put them in their county. They have 8. And a lot of our winners have come from Citrus and Charlotte County because there are more redfish tagged there.
So you have to catch a tagged fish.
You have to catch a tagged redfish
Right.
to win one of our boats.
Wow.
And we give away at least 5 boats are available for you to win.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. The boat manufacturers have been very supportive. We have Carolina Skiff.
Mm-hmm.
We have Seaborn. We have Spider Boats. We have Microdraft Skiff. And then we have another Carolina Skiff for our youth anglers. So if a youth angler catches a tagged redfish, they win a brand new Carolina Skiff with a Yamaha motor on a trailer with a Minn-coated trolling motor and a shallow water anchor on the back of their boat
That's pretty cool.
for kids.
Yeah.
So that is for our inshore. That's our tagged division. Our offshore tag division is tagged dolphin. And if you recapture one of the tagged dolphin that I just went out and tagged, those dolphin migrate up and down the east and west coast of Florida. You win $10,000 cash. It's
wonderful.
It's
for
wonderful
a $40 investment.
for a $40 investment. We've had quite a few winners of the tagged redfish division. Only a few people have participated in the tagged dolphin division. They've caught them, but we're not registered in the competition.
Gotcha.
Then we have.
Yeah, it's almost like just register because you never know, right?
I call it an insurance policy.
Now you have to be registered before you catch
Yes,
the fish.
that's-
right.
yes.
Important feature of that.
I'm going to tell you annually, Dennis, we probably have 12 to 20 people that recapture tagged redfish who are not registered in the competition.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they don't get to win a brand
Yeah.
new boat.
Now on the tag, does it say which
It
boat
says,
you won?
No, it says CCA Florida Star, and then it says release me on it. On the other side, it has our phone number and a tag number. If you are the first person to catch one of the tagged redfish, You get your choice of all the boats that are available at the
Oh, so
time.
it's the winner's choice.
Winner's choice.
Wow.
Then
That's cool.
once that boat's out of the picture, so let's say the first guy chooses one of our 24 Carolina skiffs with a 115 Yamaha on it, that boat is gone. But we still have another Carolina skiff, a Seaborn, a Spider, and a microdraft skiff. The next angler gets their choice, and then we have what's left over, and you get to keep picking.
That's great. Now, are all the redfish are out at this point?
Not all of them are out at this point. Actually, when I leave here, I will be going to Mosquito Lagoon to tag redfish in Mosquito Lagoon, and then on to Nassau County to tag a few fish. On the east coast of Florida, we have to catch and tag all those fish.
Okay.
So
those are not like
hatchery reared.
hatchery. Yeah.
No.
Wow.
No, these are actual fish that have been caught, tagged, and put right back into the water.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my job.
A lot of work goes into this.
There's a lot of work that goes into
Wow.
this. People don't realize how much work goes into this. There's 167.
That's a labor of love right there.
I love every
Yeah,
minute of
that-
it. Yeah.
that is great.
So you have the tag divisions. We just added a new division. So many people said, oh my gosh, we can't catch a tagged redfish. Well, how many people have caught a redfish that has more than one spot? So we partnered up with a company called Drum Spots. You might know them, Andrew Brown. Actually, there's a cool story there. Andrew caught a star tagged redfish and won a brand new boat, sold that boat to make the money to start his company called Drum Spots. And now we've partnered with them. So if
That is a cool story.
isn't that a cool story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's even cooler because he had a back injury and it was July. And he finally was able to get out where he wade fished. So he said, it's July. He registered every single year from the start of Star. Every year. It was 5 years he'd registered. That year, he wasn't registered because he had been injured. But his buddies talked him into going fishing that July day. And he said, look, whoa. He registered that morning before he went fishing. He said, I can't go fishing without being registered.
Right.
They walk out to this area that he fishes, and he walked out there. He said, it was my 4th or 5th cast. I hook a redfish and I'm fighting it, and I see it has a tag.
That's divine intervention.
And he won. We partnered together with him this year to start a division called the Lots of Spots division.
And how does that work?
So if you catch a redfish that has more than one spot, more than 2 spots, the redfish with the most spots wins a SUP custom hybrid skiff with a Yamaha motor, trolling motor. It's you've probably seen them on social media. It's a Live Water Sports paddleboard.
Oh, yeah.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
And it can get super shallow. So you'll win one of those. There's $25,000 in that in prizes in that division. You take a picture of the left side of the fish, take a picture of the right side of the fish, count your spots, and enter the number of spots.
That's great. So the fish doesn't have to be tagged.
Does not
You
have
just
to-
have to be already pre-registered.
You have to be pre-registered before you caught that fish. You
Right.
have to be a CCA member and registered in the competition. That's our Lots of Spots division.
Right.
But then we have an inshore division and an offshore division with
You're not
6.
doing lots of spots on a mahi, are you?
No.
I was gonna say. I was gonna
When-
say.
there's no way
Okay,
to count
whose
those.
job is to
Oh,
count that?
Yeah. Well, I was looking at that when I was tagging them yesterday, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
look at they're gorgeous. But the inshore division has $60,000 in prizes. First place prize is a custom Ginu LT25 with a Yamaha sitting on a trailer. Beautiful custom Ginu. First place prize in the offshore division is a brand new 250 Yamaha motor.
Really?
So there are so many cool prizes available.
So what are the qualifications on the offshore?
So in the offshore, it has to be any offshore species. So any offshore species you catch, you're going to put it on your measuring board. If it's required to have a minimum size for it, you take a photograph of it with the star identifier. You put it in the picture. I'll send you an identifier so you can include it in
Okay.
the podcast.
Yeah.
and you put the identifier in the picture, you take the picture of it, and you submit it. So if you're offshore and you catch a sailfish, take a picture of it, submit it. You get 3 entries per day in the offshore division. So you catch a wahoo, you put your wahoo in. You catch a kingfish, you just put your kingfish in.
And how do you get selected?
Then it's a random drawing of all of the entries. So it is not the biggest fish that wins, which makes it an even playing field for everybody.
See, see what I'm getting at, right? With all this, because before the show we talked about how I passed on that Hughes redfisher,
Yes.
right? And I did it the boat that I should have bought, and now I'm thinking that
You might be able to
I
win.
might have an opportunity.
There you go. You do.
To make up.
And the inshore division, it's 3 species. So you catch a trout,
Mm-hmm.
a redfish, and a snook. You enter all 3 of those. You just have to take a photograph of them on your own measuring board with the identifier in the picture. You can pick it up at West Marine, any bait and tackle academy. They're all over the place starting Saturday, May 17th.
All right.
That's-
winning a boat.
That's the divisions. Then we have some really cool divisions. I just saw you toast to me in the Pilar.
Yep.
We have the Costa Kick Plastic Trash Division. And the first presented
See,
by...
now you're talking conservation here.
Yes.
Now my ears are perking up.
Yes.
Okay.
So the Costa Kick Plastic Trash Division is presented by Papa's Pilar. You get a 3-day, 2-night stay in their private...
At the place down in Key West?
Yeah. And
nice.
a tour of the distillery, and you get rum.
Very cool.
But here's the thing. Every 5-gallon bucket that you submit is an entry in the competition. We've already... I believe it's over 10,000 5-gallon buckets full of garbage that we've cleaned up. We have winners that by themselves alone gather 1,000 5-gallon buckets. But what I have seen and I hear from individuals is it changes, like you said, you change your lifestyle. It changes the way that our boaters and our fishermen behave on the water. Instead of driving past a piece of trash now, they've got their nets out and they're scooping it up and putting it in buckets because they win prizes for picking up trash.
You know what I think is probably like an effect of that too is down the road. They'll probably do it outside of the competition as well because they'll realize at that point it's not that hard to do.
It's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about our trash division is for youth. I started this back just at the beginning of COVID, and youth anglers and youth had no way with COVID to get their community service hours because no one was having activities. So a youth may get 30 minutes of community service hours for every 5-gallon bucket full of garbage that they pick up and dispose of.
Oh, that's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
These kids now can go out on their own time. They can pick up trash. They can do really cool stuff with it. They send me via email their community service log. They've taken pictures, so I know for a fact that they gathered this amount of trash. I equate it, do the math, figure out what they've done, and I sign off and send it back to them.
That's outstanding.
Parents were elated to be able to have a community service opportunity like this.
I bet.
It's a cool opportunity.
I bet. And it teaches them good lessons.
It does.
Time. Yeah.
It does. The other division, there are 3 other divisions that we have. There's a total of 9.
Mm-hmm.
We have a conservation division, and that conservation division is the Power Pool Conservation Division. We do that division with any fish that you catch, whether it's a catfish, a ladyfish, a jack, toadfish, whatever species of fish that you catch. Some people call them trash fish. You can take a picture of that fish and submit it. We gather information and data on those fish, and then we have research groups that request the data to understand what's happening, where these fish are caught. Lionfish, lizardfish, all of these things are within that conservation group. So it's a really great dependent data source for other conservation groups. And then we have a kayak division. So
interesting.
Anybody who fishes from a kayak, they are not competing against the boaters. They're competing directly against their own kayak people, and it's also a random
This goes
drawing.
a lot deeper than I thought.
People do not realize the depth of this.
Yeah.
And then we have a youth division, youth scholarship division. And that's presented by Guy Harvey Foundation and Real Tree Fishing. And that to me, when you said you got goosebumps a minute ago, that gives me goosebumps because in the 10 years that we've been doing STAR, I've awarded $100,000 a year in college scholarships to kids just for catching fish.
That's fantastic.
10 times 100,000 is what?
10
about-
times 100. That's what is it, $1 million?
That's $1 million in college scholarships.
See, art school paid off.
There you go. I don't know of another organization that has awarded $1 million in college scholarships to kids just for getting off their Xbox, off their computers, going out and catching fish and getting rewarded for it. And
That's wonderful.
I follow those students. There's 12 of them a year. Several of them have become marine biologists, FWC officers, FWC biologists, lawyers, environmental lawyers. So it really has been, it's been a heartwarming thing for me to see how much we've accomplished.
That's amazing.
And the awareness that we've created for CCA.
A lot of this, it calls to mind too, my former assistant here at Connected by Water. She now goes to the University of Florida, Lorelei.
Okay.
So when she was in high school here, now Lorelei, extremely intelligent girl. She worked for me since she was 15. Very Emily Hansen-like.
Yes.
And she just had a passion for fishing and just conservation and the whole 9 yards. And they came out with the CCA Youth Scholarship. And she was in the first year they did it.
Oh, how cool.
Right.
Yes.
So they select 10 kids to go up to Duke Energy and mud hole and the whole facility and everything like that. And they basically compete that week. They do presentations and they do education programs, and they choose the top 3 of those 10 to receive scholarship. Well, she took the top scholarship award for the first ever youth scholarship that the youth scholarship program that the CCA
That is
had,
so cool.
which qualified her for nationals. She took nationals too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she did. So, and we're extremely proud of Lorelei Bennett. She is now at the University of Florida, and she's studying civil engineering. I think she wants to be like an environmental engineer.
That
But
is.
yeah, she's now moved on, and she's got an internship right now in the summer for a construction company. Right.
That
now.
is very
so
cool.
She's well on her way, and she's slaying fish. She's like left and right. So,
Well, I have to tell you, most
and her
people
her twin brother is
following in her footsteps.
Well, he's if I say that Jonah is following in her footsteps, he might get mad.
Yeah,
at
he
me,
might get
but,
mad.
yeah, but he's really, really smart too and incredible.
Well,
angler.
they're going
Incredible
shoulder
angler.
to shoulder.
Yeah,
How
shoulder
about
to
that?
shoulder.
Shoulder
Yeah.
to shoulder.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I will tell you, people look at Coastal Conservation Association and they think, oh, the only thing that organization does is they throw big parties and, drinking. And I really want people to understand that we are so much more than that. We have to fundraise.
Right.
We have events like that in order to do our fundraising. And, although we've done $1 million in college scholarships with STAR, we've done, I know it's close to 25,000 through CCA in college scholarships, and STAR being a little different than just CCA Florida. But I don't think people understand that the amount of brick and mortar projects, hands-on, boots on the ground, getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, we call it boots in the water.
Yeah,
sometimes.
boots in the water. People do not realize that, I think it's to date $11.4 million in habitat restoration work that we've done. And that's from seagrass replanting, clam, oyster bed renourishment, shoreline stabilization, offshore, nearshore mangroves, restocking, oyster vogs, all of the things that we do.
What about what was really, really cool was the redfish releases that they just had down in Miami.
Yes.
Yeah, in Matheson Hammock Park, right?
The Biscayne Bay area. Yeah. Oh,
awesome events. Right.
So
led by Captain Rick and everything down there. It
that
was really,
is amazing.
Really cool.
The amount of redfish that we've put back into the coastal waters. It's over 400,000 redfish back into the coastal waters.
And it speaks to the point that you're talking about with your tournament and with the photo releases. Like, why would you have a kill tournament for redfish
Right.
if we're doing redfish releases? It just seems counterproductive, right?
Well, and to that effect, I do something personally that CCA supports me to do. I work with East Coast and West Coast tournaments, who are a lot of charity tournaments. Have you bring your fish to the weigh-in?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, oftentimes those fish are dead. The people just put them on ice because the tournament has no rules in place that you can't bring a fish in dead. So I work with these tournaments to change their thought process, to either go to a CPR format and I will set it up for them,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do catch, photo, release, and I provide them all the things they need to do that, or we do live weigh-ins. And I provide incentives for you to bring those redfish in alive. I get their permits through FWC. I bring my tanks out with oxygenated tanks. You bring me those redfish alive. Guess how I get them to do it?
How?
I offer an incentive, a 6-pack of beer for every live redfish that you bring me, and a ticket so you can win a Bull
That's
Bay
smart.
rod and a Florida Fishing Products reel. And
That's a
on-
good company, by the way.
Oh,
Florida Fishing Products.
Florida Fishing Products
Yeah.
is amazing. They have been so good to me, and their reels are
Yeah.
insanely smooth. Everything about
Elmer,
them.
that's all he uses.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love them. So then on the East Coast, we're up to almost 2,000 redfish that we have saved from tournaments who were kill tournaments that now have gone to live weigh-ins.
Nice.
2,000 redfish. Dennis, have you fished a redfish tournament before?
I have not actually fished a redfish tournament per se. Yeah.
In a redfish
You're
tournament,
you're filming the whole redfish.
the
Yeah.
powerful red. So in those tournaments, the whole object of the tournament is to bring in the heaviest redfish to the closest top of the slot, which is 27 inches. You want 2 of those. With that redfish that's 27 inches, that's right at the time when they're spawning and being broodstock and moving into what we call are basically a broodstock
Mhm.
redfish. Once they go over 27 inches, they're on the move, spawning when they spawn. If tournaments are killing those fish, they're not just killing one fish. They're killing hundreds of thousands of fish, millions of fish. So what we're doing is those big fish are coming in, we're bringing them in alive, we're putting them in tanks, we're oxygenating them, and then I'm taking them back out into their local coastal waters and putting them back in the water. That's the east coast of Florida, 2,000 redfish over the last 3 years, and on the west coast of Florida, over 1,400.
Yeah. So when they call you the queen of conservation, they're not saying that for nothing. That's fantastic work.
That is something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
I was a redfish tournament angler for years, one of the top 10 teams in the country. And I believe that we should not have kill tournaments for redfish, snook, or big trout.
Right.
I think that much like the Bassmasters and many of those tournaments, if you're going to catch big trout,
Yeah.
you catch a big trout, you length it, you girth it, you keep it in the water, and you let it go.
Yeah.
Because our trout population has just been demolished.
Yeah. It's not what it once was. That's for certain.
In the Indian River lagoons.
Yeah. I was going to say, especially the more north you move up. Yeah.
It's just, I caught with Blair last year a 29-inch trout, spotted sea trout. It was the most amazing catch. But as soon as you caught that fish, she changed colors and she started going white. And when they change colors, they're off. So, one of the other things that I do is I do speaking engagements, about 60 a year. And I talk to groups.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Wow.
It's about 60 a year. I do 3 to 4 a week, starting February all the way through July. It's a lot of work.
That's a grind.
I'm on the road a lot.
Oh my goodness.
But what I'm talking about is conservation and how you handle your fish. What you're doing. If you're not going to keep a fish for dinner, and CCA is not opposed to people keeping fish for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
limit your
waste.
catch. Don't catch your limit.
Right.
Yeah, you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
just
just limit waste. you know?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So I just feel like I talk about if you're not going to keep a trout for dinner, use a dehooker. Just release it at the boat.
hmm
Don't touch those fish. It's a shame that people grab a trout, and we know how slippery, slimy they are. They drop on the boat. The more you handle them, the worse they are. When you grab a trout, you bruise it.
hmm
I've put trout in my live well,
Yeah, their flesh is so soft.
soft.
Yeah.
I've grabbed a trout, put it in my live well, and then look at it. You see my handprint on that fish. So
Yep.
can other creatures. It
Yeah.
just takes away all of their ability to be camouflaged. So
Well, I tell you, Bouncer caught a nice trout a couple of weeks ago.
okay.
Yeah, so
In-
I fished with Bouncer and Adrian, and then we did okay. Nothing to really write home about. But up there in the IRL, it seems like really like live bait. Like really got a
Yeah.
live bait to get like a big quality fish there. You know?
Yes.
But the next day, I fished with Dave Farrell, and then Bouncer went out with Adrian again and George Romo, and that's when Bouncer got a really nice trout that day. So I was happy for him. That he-
Well, I was hoping to be there to do the fishing and to be part of that, but I had to tag redfish.
Yep.
And so, unfortunately, I had to miss that. And it's funny because when we tag fish, we get them in those big tanks, and oftentimes I'm collecting them from tournaments or
Mhm.
from people who have had a little event and collect fish for me. I have to get them out. So every 8 hours, I have to change the water. So sometimes Andrea Gillespie, my assistant director, a huge shout out to her
Yeah.
because she is my right hand gal and makes everything happen. We will go sometimes 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning releasing redfish so that we can get them out of our tanks
You're
and
kidding
not
me.
have and not have to hold them overnight. Plus, it's much nicer to do it in the dark because then I have a big wrap truck, so no one knows where you're putting out those
Mhm.
fish and seeing you. We've had people follow us around trying
really?
trying to scope out where we're releasing those tagged fish.
Yeah, I guess they want the boat. Huh?
Yeah, they want
Pretty
the
bad.
boat. Yeah.
It just came to mind, right?
Yes.
And I want to mention this because we were talking earlier about you're saying the different conservation groups coming together, and it's good to see across the aisle and
Yeah.
everything like that. And it totally like escaped my mind to mention this, but now I just remembered. One big factor to that too is the brands that basically get involved, right?
Yes.
So if you think about like this show, like in our families that we're involved with,
Yes.
it's Starbright and Papa's Pilar, and even Olakai, a member of our show, like all of our brands that are associated with this show have that in their DNA as well, but especially Starbright and Papa's Pilar, right?
Exactly.
They definitely have that in their DNA, and their involvement with those groups like CCA, the IGFA, and BTT, and bringing all that together, I think helps cross bridges
And
Yeah.
I think
and
you're
bring people together.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I
and
think
form these
it's-
collectives.
I think it's important. I know when I ran a sporting plantation prior to coming to work for CCA. I ran a very private sporting plantation up in the center part of the state involved in hunting. And I was involved with a lot of hunting organizations and going to the SHOT Show and being very involved with the hunting side of what happened in our community. And what I found was the hunting community did a huge summit where they brought all of the conservation groups together, and they would get them all to NSSF, I think it is, National Shooting Sport Foundation, would get everybody together, and they would do a huge summit to get people all on the same page.
Yeah.
And I
Consistency is a powerful thing.
it is. And I think if everyone understood, we've got this one source of our support.
Mm-hmm.
And if we all work together, to understand how we're going to feed from that food trough and not have one big dog fighting all the other little smaller dogs off. If we can all feed from the same bowl
Mm-hmm.
and do it in a cordial manner, I think that's the way to go about it.
That's a strong statement. That really is. I mean, I can't say that, express that enough. That is a really strong statement. And the reason that I pointed out as a strong statement is because within this industry, there needs to be more of that. 100%. There are organizations where, and I speak to Travis about this as well. He likes to educate me on a lot of different things and who's who and what's what. There are some organizations that just refuse to work with other organizations. And that is not a good thing, I don't think, because that just tells me that they're just funding or hunting for funding, and they don't want to give it up, and they just want to just do what they need to do in order so they can keep recouping their funding. And when you're an organization that does that, perhaps you don't have the proper mindset.
You know, I
And I'm not naming anybody.
I'm not,
Yeah.
and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone either. I honestly think that there are so many nonprofits out there,
Mhm.
everybody trying to get a little bite here and a little bite there. And if we all work together, it's easy. We can feed each other. If you're not familiar with our $1 million grant, CCA has a $1 million grant.
Mhm.
We're doing grants to other organizations. We work with Ocean Aid 360. We work with the IRL and provide funding for the restoration projects there. We're working with the Guy Harvey Foundation. We're working with so many organizations that come to us and ask for the support, providing shell, providing mangroves, providing redfish. All of the things that we've tried to do has been just, if you got to have, everybody has to have this, I don't say the same vision,
It has to
but
funnel.
all has to go in the same direction.
We have to all want the same
Yep.
thing.
Yeah,
That's it. It's got to funnel in that direction. You're absolutely right.
right.
Talking to you about all this stuff, it's infectious. You are infectious.
Oh, thank you.
That is this is the cold hard truth of it, right? And you speak about this with such passion, but it's not just talk. You feel the action, right? You feel the work when you talk to you about it. And that's a wonderful, beautiful thing. Where does this come from? And I want to preface that by saying, take me to the very beginning. Like, where does this start? Like, how did you get to become you? I mean, this wonderful human being that is such a beautiful steward of our industry and a champion, and you've accomplished so many things, but now you're very much paying it forward by working as hard as you do in conservation, especially. How did this start, and where did you really truly fall in love with it?
I'm honestly going to say my family, my mother, my father, my grandparents, all of them loved to hunt and fish. My father was very much all about catching fish, but he didn't like to freeze fish. He'd
Okay.
like, and he'd tell me, honey, we're not, we're just going to catch one, because guess what? I get to ask your mother if I can go fishing again.
Yeah.
You go back out. And so I honestly believe, growing up, knowing my aunt Eleanor Heckert held the women's world record for black, blue, white, striped marlin. She was an avid marlin fisherman, but she didn't want to kill the fish.
Hold on, rewind that for a second. Your aunt?
My aunt Eleanor Heckert. I was told that she held the women's world record for black, blue, white, striped marlin. She lived in St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, had a hotel there with my mother.
That's fantastic.
I come from a lineage
That's
of
pedigree right there.
yes.
Wow, that's great. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but
that's
I just wanted to
okay.
pause there because that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
She was an amazing author and wrote best-selling. And this is where I get rum.
Yeah.
St. Thomas, that was rum.
Yeah, for sure.
And my mother and the stories they shared and the things they did, and you're probably too young to remember the show Baba Black Sheep.
No, I mean, I've seen the reruns. I know. Yeah, I know. What you're talking about. Yep.
It just the old ways. My dad was very strict, naval officer. My mother was a hard worker, and I grew up in Moss Bluff. Once we left the Keys, we went up there, and my dad would send me out with my pellet gun, and he'd say, "Okay, don't kill anything that you're not going to eat." And my dad was very much into conservation, and I knew as I got older, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I watched Jacques Cousteau, and that is what I was going to be. And my father and my mother sat me down and said,
"Can't make any money doing that.
You can't make any money doing that. Yeah. What are you going to do?" And so I 180'd and I said, "Well, I'm going to minor in music. I'm going to be a country western singer." It'll take you forever to get there too. And I said, "Okay, marketing, public relations. I guess that's what I'm going to do."
Yeah. You like singing?
I love to sing.
Yeah.
Church choir.
You going to belt out a tune for us today?
No. I can tell you, I competed in all the talent shows at school and won and had so much fun, was in the chorus, did everything. But you were a geek if you were in the chorus.
Wow.
I'm a geek.
Call me a geek. I was in the choir too when I was a kid. Yeah.
Love to sing. So.
Yeah, I come from a very church-like family. So
yeah. But I will tell you, everything growing up was all about being a good steward of the environment. My grandfather was a trapper, but he only trapped for certain things. And, my grandfather would always, Grandpa Golden, he would always tell me, if you take care of the environment and if you take care of the resources, they will take care of you. And that was always instilled in me. My dad, my mom, my brother was a FWC officer. So he protected for 34 years. He's retired now, right here in the
this
Pahokee
is in your
area.
DNA.
It's in my DNA.
That's great.
Yeah, and I get in trouble for it. I speak up, and I am not afraid to talk to someone about it, and I'm not afraid to put myself out there. It can get you in trouble if you're by yourself trying to do that.
Sure.
I never forget my first week with CCA. I went up into the panhandle of Florida, and I did not know that there were certain places up in the panhandle of Florida that didn't like Coastal Conservation Association. And I walk into this one place and I'm so excited talking about the star competition and everything. And the guy is just excited about the competition. And I hand him my brochures and he looks at me and he goes, "You're with CCA?" I was like, "Yes, sir." Well, he grabbed me by my elbow politely. I should not say politely. He escorted me out of his place of business and said, "If you were a man, I would have punched you in the face."
That's a nice thing to say. Wow. Really?
I understand that the net ban changed a lot of people's lifestyles when you could no longer harvest mullet the way they harvested mullet.
Right.
But, there's a lot of people that still hold a grudge over that.
Well, I was just going to say, like, aren't we past that? Like, everyone view that as a good thing. Like, no, there are people still holding on to that.
Oh, I get my tires slit all the time. Yeah. So
I don't know. I think that's a good thing that the net ban. But
yeah. Oh, it's definitely the resurgence.
It made a huge difference
in the redfish population. Yeah. There are more people who are positive about the organization than there are that are negative.
Right.
But it's a struggle every year in that particular area. every year they're still trying to come back and get that net ban abolished.
Wow.
So we fight it.
It's not going to happen.
We hope not.
No.
We
it
hope
can't.
not.
There's already too much of a proof case study that it works well.
It works
like for
well.
the greater good.
Yeah, it does. But then, I have a little Ginu, and I'm back in a little back bay.
How you like that thing?
Oh my.
I was thinking about getting one.
Let me just tell you.
After my Hughes Redfisher.
I like the Hughes Redfisher. It's a beautiful boat.
Yeah.
But what I love about my Ginu is I can be in places where no one else can go.
Mhm.
I have a jack plate on it. I have a 25 Yamaha. I trim it up and
Oh, you do have a jack plate on
oh
that
yeah,
thing.
I put a jack plate on it.
Nice.
And I skim into these little honey holes, and I watch boats sitting way off and wanting to come into where I am, and I'm just catching fish after fish after fish, and they're watching me, wanting to get in there. But by the time the tide gets up high enough that they can come in, the fish have pushed so far back up in the mangroves
Yeah.
that you can't get to them. But I'm catching them out in the front when it's as low as it is. I mean, it's the grass is laid over,
Uh-huh.
and there's no way anybody's getting in. But guys who mullet net and have the trembleys with the motors the way they set them up, they come flying in there and they tear up the grass. And I get in trouble because I yell at them and then they yell back at me. And I'm not yelling to be ugly. I'm just like, hey, you're tearing up the grass.
Right.
Well,
That frustrates
yeah.
me.
Yep. To see so much destruction by our recreational boaters, we're required to have a driver's license for a vehicle. Why are we not required to have an operations license for boaters?
I've talked about this at length on this show. It is a sore subject for me. I guess they have boaters license now for younger people coming
Yeah,
up, but it's not
certain
really like
ages.
required.
No, they like for you to take the boater
Yeah,
safety
it's
course.
not
that
an applied thing. I mean, come on. And it's so much harder, I think, to operate a boat in close quarters than it
Where
is
are
a
the
vehicle.
brakes?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are the brakes?
Come on.
Where's reverse?
It just seems reverse. It seems like reverse thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you.
There's just
What happened? We had Jason Robinson and Ben Sharp on, and we were talking to those guys about something in current events happened around that time that it was just like, why are boaters licenses a thing? I think something happened at like Columbus Day Regatta or something like
well,
that. It
there's
was like, come on.
so many accidents.
Yeah.
I mean, just like in Clearwater, Florida, a guy at night runs into a ferry and kills a guy.
Yeah.
There's so many running on not knowing your navigation
Yeah, that just
system.
happened a couple weeks ago,
That just happened
right?
a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago. I mean, there's so many boaters accidents that
There's
tragic.
And you got these people. My least favorite ones are the guys that spend all this money and they get this tricked out big fancy with 35-foot boat or whatever it is, and they just don't know how to operate it. And then they put kids up on the bow. They're coming in the inlets and everything.
And
like
they've got
that.
their legs hanging over the
Horrible.
I
Breaks my
see
heart.
that. I'm like,
Breaks my heart every time I
how
see
old
it.
is your kid? Because he's supposed to have a life jacket on.
Yeah.
And my significant other, Lo Morrison, I love you, honey. Thank you. He supports me so well. He's like, shh, you can't say anything. You can't say anything. And
You can.
I can.
By the way.
I can.
Yeah.
I do.
It's okay.
It's not that-
I'll allow it.
It's not that
Yeah.
I shouldn't. I do. Yeah. But I've been a captain since 1999, and I guided for a long time. And you'd be guiding, and all of a sudden, someone would see you catch a fish, and it was like a magnet. They
Mhm.
were on top of you. And I used to always say, "Hey, I didn't turn the light on yet." And they go, "Light? What light?" And I'd say, "The free chicken wing and beer sign that ain't turned on yet. You don't need to be here." It's just like, oh my gosh. There was nobody around us yesterday, and we started catching dolphin. And as soon as there were three
With
of
a dolphin, it's the worst.
three, we're hooked
yeah,
up.
because they want the schools.
We're on a really nice school of fish.
Yeah.
And the people we were fishing with are going, we're throwing these back. We tag them and throw them back. We've never caught dolphin and put them back in the water. I'm like, but that's what we have to do.
Right.
So we're putting
That's
these
the
fish
job
back in.
today.
That's today. Well, we caught enough that we did all of the tags we needed to, and we still got dinner.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was nice. But there wasn't a boat. You could see them like out on the horizon a little bit. And
Oh, they'll gun it.
oh my
Right to
God.
you.
I said, do they have binoculars? Are they
Yeah.
watching us?
Yeah.
Because as soon as we hooked up a fish, boom, we had 4 boats all around us.
If they see a flash of one mahi coming over the board
Oh.
or whatever, they'll come running.
It was insane.
No
but
shame.
No shame.
Nope.
There's got to be some etiquette in our recreational anglers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That I think that's going to be argued till the end of time there.
And
with that one,
yes,
but
yes,
etiquette
yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question
All right.
that I ask all my great ones
Okay.
that I bring on the show.
All right.
Right. And everybody has one. What's your one that got away?
My one that got away.
And I have to make fun of Zach on the show yesterday because he said, "Oh, I don't have one." I'm like, "Oh, you caught them all, Zach? Did you?"
Holy cow. No, there's lots of ones that got
I mean,
away.
there's got to be one that's really still to this day, like under your skin, that you wish you had back. That something maybe avoidable happened.
Holy cow, there's so many. So I don't know if it would be the one that got away, but it's like this thing that just chews at me.
That's what I'm looking
Okay.
for.
So I competed in the redfish circuit, all 3 of the redfish tournament trails, the ESPN, the FLW, and the IFA. And my fishing partner and I competed in all of those. The second year we were competing, we won a position to go to the national championships. There had never been an all-women's team in the national championships. The first day, we had scouted. Now, all these other teams have teams that they work with. Sometimes, like the Maverick team,
Mhm.
there would be eight teams that all worked together and had reconnaissance and information. All of the teams had little groups they all worked with. We were the one team, the only team that every other team wanted to beat.
Flying solo.
We want to beat the girls. They don't care where they place as long as they beat the girls.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out. We did all of our reconnaissance work. We worked really hard to find fish. And we actually found this really cool spot that had the way the tides were running was trapping mullet up against a point. And the redfish were so thick in there and they were huge. They were just the right fish. So we were staying at a place and we were sharing, and I won't mention the team's name, but we were sharing a lodge, like a house with a team. That team, kind of worked in a different area of the, and it was in Louisiana. So we go in to our little spot. Nobody's around. Nobody sees us. We're one of the first boats out, and I was sponsored at the time by Ranger and Evinrude, and we had a Ranger Bay 24. We get there. That day we did not have a camera crew on the boat. We slip in. She makes a cast, I make a cast, and we both hook up. We bring our fish in. We measure them. The first fish measures right at just under 27 inches, weighs over 9 pounds. I was like, oh my God, we put that one in the live well.
Mm-hmm.
Catch my fish, bring it in. We measure that fish. It's 26.5 inches and weighs 10 pounds.
Fat one.
10 pounds. So we are like, okay, what are we going to do? She catches another fish. Her fish weighs over, it's a 26.5 inch fish. It weighs over 10 pounds, almost 11 pounds. They've been gorging themselves on mullet.
Uh-huh.
So I said, well, If we run back and we bounce these fish, they're going to puke up all of the mullet they have in their bellies. So what we're going to do, it was not even 8 o'clock in the morning. We're 70 miles from the weigh-in. So we just start working our way back, going super slow. We get back, we weigh in, we're in first place.
So they weighed.
It's a 2-day tournament.
Oh, okay. So, but those fish held the
Those
mullet.
2 fish kept the mullet. They weighed in, we're in first place. Next day, we are going to get ready to leave. First day, we had a very high number, like a low number. I think we were number 4, so we came out early. It reverses, and you're like one of the last boats out. Well, the guys that were staying in our house said, hey, we only found 14 pounds of fish. You guys are on good fish. We are boat number 3. We can run to your spot, and we'll go in and just work our way in, make sure that you guys get in there. We're like, you can't go in there. You can stay on the outside, but do not go in to where the confluence of these 2 channels come together. So anyway, long story short, they get there, they work their way in. We pull up, and you have to come off plane and you start idling in. We watch these guys pull in, anchor up. We told them they could not fish that spot till we caught our fish. Both of them cast. Both of them hook up. We're trolling motoring in with a camera guy on our boat. We get in there. They pull their fish in, measure them, and put them both in the live well. And
You must have been fuming.
I lost my mind, and I was not a pleasant person, and sent them off. And we sat there and cast and cast and cast, and every fish we caught was too big, too big, too big. We finally caught one that weighed 9 pounds that was 26 3/4. We put him in the live well. We catch another one. I think that one was like 26 3/4, and that one was another 9. Well, so we have 18 pounds of fish. And I said, I know we can get bigger fish out of here. Well, we had to give ourselves an hour and 15 minutes to get back. And I'm like, really, we need an hour and 30 minutes. So we've got 20 minutes to fish. We catch another really, really big fish. This fish weighs 11 pounds and is 26 and right under the line. It's not over. It's not touching. We measure it. We can have 3 fish in our live well. So I put that fish in my live well. In Louisiana, and during the rules, we can do that. So we take off and we start running. We run. We get to where we need to go. And we set down. We measure the fish again. We get into the Mississippi River. We measure the fish again. The fish measures every time, and every time the camera guy is measuring it, he's watching us measure it. We're pinching the tail, doing everything we need. So the 9-pound fish we release, because you cannot come to the weigh scale with 3 fish in your live well.
Okay.
So we come to the weigh-in. We're one of the first boats at weigh-in. And the tournament director comes over to me and he says, hey, you were in first place. Have you got good fish? And we're like, yeah, we've got good fish. He goes, well, would you do us a favor for TV? Will you wait to weigh your fish? And I'm like, well, what if something happens to my fish sitting here in the marina? What if it dies?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, just keep an eye on it. If something happens, we'll slip you in. I'm like, okay. So we watch our
Give that guy a
fish.
big fat nope, not waiting.
I shouldn't have waited.
Right.
But this was our second year of tournament.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20,
So
right?
we watch our fish. We've got the oxygen. We've got everything going. The fish are happy. Everything's good. People are weighing fish. 17, 18 pounds right now is the highest. And every time someone comes in, they're bumping these guys off the boat. So that's what he wanted. He wanted this big finale where the girls come in and bump them off the boat, right?
Yeah.
So we're the last team to weigh in. We come up with our fish and everybody's oohing and awing. They put the first fish on there, measures perfectly, 9.5 pounds. It goes on, and they put them in another bag with water. The other fish comes up. He measures it. It measures. They send it through, and there's a team standing right there, and they contest that fish.
It's not the team that you let.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
that'd have
no.
been a little much.
No, they probably would not be alive today.
Right.
So they try to find them in the bayou somewhere. So, so here is this team, and they take $200 and they lay it down. We contest that fish. They're in third place. So the guy brings the fish, our big fish, out, and he lays it on the. Now, at the time, back then, they did not have the bump board inclined, and they did not put the belly up against a flat surface, and they did not have the metal pinch bar. They just physically pinched it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pinch hard or you can pinch a little softer. There's no way to pinch the same pressure every single time. So now he's under pressure because of this. He puts our fish down and he pinches it, and he keeps pinching it till the tail covers the line. And he rolls the fish over and he does it again, and the tail covers the line. And they disqualified our fish.
That's a heartbreaker.
$100,000 and a first place win by a women's team that had never, ever had that happen. And it has never happened.
I got to tell you, I asked that question a lot, and that was probably one of the best one that got away stories that we've heard.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm always the bridesmaid, never a bride.
It's especially better than George Parveromo's one that got away. So
George is such a class act, though.
I just like giving him guff.
So that was my one
Yeah.
that got away. It's just heartbreaking. We placed fourth in nationals. We've taken third. But never gotten a first. So
that's a heartbreaker.
It was. I remember seeing an entire bottle of Jack Daniels an entire bottle of Crown Royal laying on its side as I was not remembering much after that.
Oh.
It was heartbreaking.
Oh.
But the team that did come in and caught those two fish, they were in like 40th place. They wound up coming in 10th place. So we learned our lesson there that we just you don't share.
In it to win it.
It's a competition.
Yeah. In it to win it.
Yeah, in it to win it. Not to be nice.
Right. Oh my goodness. Leiza, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
This has been such a treat.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I do a lot of podcasts and shows, and this has been one that I've truly enjoyed and really felt like you paid attention and that you really knew me and asked the right questions. So
thank you so much.
You.
Oh, man, that means a lot, John. Isn't that nice? Thank you very much.
You're doing great things, and
thank you.
Your work is exceptional, and you signed a piece for me one time, and I have that framed in my office.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me cry.
Oh. Well,
no. I mean, listen.
Toast.
Yeah, toast.
Yeah.
Listen. I mean, this is as much as I want to say we work real hard at this and everything like that. I think it's just because it's a passion project, just like anything else. I started this because I wanted to. You know what I mean? Amount of followers be damned or whatever. We're doing the show the way we want to do it and how we want to do it. And
I laugh about when you say followers be damned. I don't have a lot of followers. I don't have a lot of people that do. I'm not good at social media. Not only am I the queen of conservation, but I am my other title, worst selfie taker on Facebook. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna take a couple pictures here in a second when we sign off, so that we'll get some good ones for our podcast thumbnail, and it's some memories to have. So.
Well, thank you very much, and appreciate all that you do and all that you do to support CCA Florida.
Thank you. So that being said, follow you, right, on social
Fish
media.
Diva
Yeah, Fish Diva
61.
61, and get registered for the STAR program, and make sure you're a member of the CCA before you do that. That's a very
Yeah.
important aspect of that. And just don't beat me, and
Yeah,
win my
and
boat.
that-
I want to win the boat.
Make
so.
your summer more rewarding. Make your summer fishing more rewarding. Every fish you catch, you should be going, oh my God, when am I going to win with this one?
Right. Exactly. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to end this like we always do. Your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best. And at the end of the day, just let God do the rest. And do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're all connected by water. We out.